But in the end here, the concern I have is
well,
that she has the ability. Again, I can't. These are cases that are active. So until I get invited in to speak to her, I can't come in and confront her with my case. I'm going to be winding up in front of a judge.
Yeah, the homeowner could certainly do that, though.
Yes, they could, but they don't want to.
Okay, that's...
Well, I mean, that's their choice, but I mean, the fact is that's available to them. And again, one thing about this particular assessor since she's been here, truly, is I've heard comments from people that she has spent quality time with them, trying to explain things. I've never heard, they may not agree with what she's saying, but she's taken
Well, she's
time.
certainly polite.
Yeah, well, and she's, you know, so I would encourage them to get the answers.
Yeah,
but I think
all I can say is that I do business with an awful lot of assessors across the county, and I have yet to see a reversal of a reduced tax cert case from the previous 2 years based only on the freeze rule expiring.
Okay.
And on the forms that these people are being sent, it says at the bottom of the form,
right,
2008 SCAR period lapse.
Well, let me see if I can summarize it this way. This board is not intimately involved in the detail of her job. Okay? It is not our job to do that. It's beyond our expertise. She's an appointed person to do that. She's got the credentials to do that. If they have a question, they need to ask her. If they don't get the answer, or they disagree with the answer, then there's a legal procedure to remedy that.
Yeah, in fact, just going what's I'm sure Gary is aware of this, but so the board is also, aside from going in as a homeowner and speaking to the assessor or someone in the department, they have the right to file the SCAR proceedings.
Right.
What he was referring to before, Gary, was that there is a certain limitation on how much you can ask for reduction-wise in a small claims assessment review. That's correct. It's 25%. So again, in fact, this is one of the cases we have down in Rockland County next week. So as a property owner who might be aggrieved, or if it was reversed, or whatever the case might be, if they fall beyond or above that 25% reduction request, they cannot use a SCAR proceeding. That's the maximum they can use it. The maximum can be granted is 25%. They can bring in Article 7, just like you see in your commercial properties, which is, if you will, the courts of record. And that's what we have. In fact, we've got a number of those filed where homeowners believe that they're overassessed by more than 25%, and they are proceeding by Article 7 under the real property tax law as opposed to a SCAR proceeding. So again, I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying it's another alternative if they don't want to.
I'm sure you're not encouraging that.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm not looking for the business.
The bottom line is my concern, and why I'm bringing it to the board's attention again is because it appears that there is no supervisor who can monitor or talk to the assessor about what her actions are.
I'm going to give the example.
Let me just interject here, because in fairness, the board's aware of this. I'm intimately involved in these things, fortunately or unfortunately. And for obvious budgetary and cost reasons, I have many of these discussions that Gary's alluding to with the assessor and her staff. And I'm not saying I control her or can influence her, but obviously it's an intellectual approach because I have to defend these things. And in turn, the board has to appropriate the money or cover the cost of those defenses. So there is some input and some information flow. Like I say, I just can't speak to the four you mentioned.
But I think it's very comparable, though, to the Justice Department. We have two justices. I can't go in there and say, well, and start talking about how they adjudicated a case or consistency or whatever. That is
again, I'm not asking for you to tell her what to do.
No, I can't be question it.
You can't ask her.
I'm sharing with you that is we don't do that.
Why?
It's because there are systems in place where the people themselves can come in and talk.
Well,
and the legal.
The danger of this is these four people at the present time don't know that it's happened to the other four people, and there may be 24. And in the end, if 24 people find out that this happened, this may come up and wind up in everybody's lap.
Well, I've had people call me call me, individuals, and I'll say, wanting me to go up and talk to her as a judge or about the, no, you come on in and I will take you up there and I'll make an appointment for you so you can ask the questions, get the information relative to your case. I kind of keep it that way. It's worked very well.
Right.
So
I think it has to, because any influence or any comment or
again, that's not influence.
Not even
It's just a question.
any discussion regarding assessments and so on, all of a sudden can be misinterpreted as political pressure. I have so-and-so, and how come you're doing this to so-and-so? Give me the rationale. All of a sudden, so I think that's why the state
But at the same time, Dennis defends for the town.
We understand that. The attorney can...
What her actions are.
But politically...
Yeah, no, that's my charge. But I have these discussions with her. Because again...
You can do it.
Right, and I do do it. I do do it. But what I'm saying is...
Dennis, I'm going to ask you to have a conversation with her and find out what the justification is for overturning SCAR-reduced cases from 2008 in particular.
And not to belabor the point, but I have that discussion with her often.
Sure.
Not generically. Now, specifically on a house, I can't tell you. But I do know, she has said to me many times, that her charge is each year the assessment must stand and be able to be supported on its own. Now, whether they can physically get to all 4,000 or 5,000 parcels in 1 year.
Well, I mean, again, look, I don't mean to get sarcastic, but 2009, did the town of Goshen see a real estate value increase?
Goshen's very unique, but I can't say they did. But Goshen's very unique, as anybody can tell you, in terms of how our property values have been held here.
I can show you homes that have been increased in assessed value of $100,000 from last year to this year. How is that possible in this market?
That's appreciable without a construction addition, some change. Yeah, I don't know.
And these things did not occur?
I don't know.
Okay, so I don't mean to belabor it. I'm just asking, bring it to your attention that this was not a single one-off. It seems to be a practice, and it seems to be a unique practice that's happening in our town.
Sure.
I have a question for Gary, if I could. Gary, you mentioned these 4 people, 2008, where it was the freeze period went on, and they went back to what...
When their cases, the cases often carry over into the next year.
Right.
So, boom, then they got 1 year from judgment.
Sorry? No, next question. I'm using that as an example. How many do you know from your clients that actually were not reversed, that they actually stayed at the rate that was
without foiling all the cases from 2008 for SCAR hearings? I wouldn't be able to give you the number. I only have people who have contacted me directly.
Right, and the people that may have stayed at the lower rate naturally would not contact you.
Of course not.
Right. So they're...
I didn't say everyone. I did not say everyone.
No, that's what I'm saying. Therein, I think, is the thing that I find more difficult or kind of intellectually enticing, actually. If it was across the board that everybody popped back, then I
don't want to speak out of turn, but I was told there was money more than worth.
Whereas, if it's on a case-by-case basis, I would see that the assessor could say, hey, this particular parcel, she went through they went through the process, but really the true value of that home is the increase.
But
whereas the other one, number B, should be maintained at a lower rate.
The board that came to me, we're looking for further reduction, and we're stifled.
Okay, well, can we do this? I think we've given what we're going to do.
Yes.
Way to go. I would suggest those people come in and talk to the assessor. I know she'll talk to them. You may want to talk to her attorney.
Well,
this board...
around a circle. Yeah. And you have a client, represent the client, you know, procedure better than we do, so follow the law.
Okay? I think we've stated where we're at.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Neil, you had something?
Yes, please. Firstly, the chicken toss. to most to most people that wouldn't be offensive, but to vegans or to animal rights advocates, that is offensive. The difference, to try to give you an analogy that you might understand, the difference would be having a mock lynching in the public park as opposed to a real lynching. Okay?
Okay.
So it is offensive to a certain part of the population.